Hello, this is Crypto CJ. Welcome to today's trade of the day. This is a Friday afternoon Zoom edition. And we're going to go ahead and get started by checking out Bitcoin. It's been kind of putzing around this week. I'll share my screen. It says I am screen sharing. I'm on the right screen. You guys should see my 5-minute Bitcoin chart.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, looking good.
Yeah, I thought I'd turn that off. So turn off my alerts that are recurring. All right. I'll save the ones regarding current trades. And okay, you guys should be seeing my day chart.
Yep.
And let's move over to the 4-hour, get a better view of this. Yeah, Bitcoin was in this channel for a while, for a couple of weeks. Then it looked like it was going to break through a couple days ago, and then it just kind of fell back into it. So I drew this trend line on top of it. Let's go to 2-hour. So this could be a retest. It could bounce up this weekend over lower volume, as that tends to happen on the weekends. We'll have to see, but for now it's just hanging around this range between high 46s and low 48s, and really hasn't budged that much in the last day and a half or so. Okay, take a little closer look at the hour, trending down. Couple green candles on the hour. Maybe it's coming back. I hope so. I have a few long positions, so. And yeah, it's not doing much. So let's move over to Ethereum. And this is the day chart. Hit a skinny Bart Simpson here, and then it went right back. Sort of a head and shoulders. To be candid, I don't use those structures that much in my trading because I'm a day trader and they don't mean that much to me. But when I get the bigger view like this, if I remember what they are, I'll tell you. All right, on the 4-hour. So I got interrupted and did not update my chart on this. I'm not a very good host, am I? All right, so again, we had this range right here. I know what happened. This didn't save this chart last week because it's on the same configuration as my Bitcoin chart. All right, so we've got started about here. And then we've got a really solid support right about here, around 3150, 3200. We talked about this on Monday. We've had a few dips below it, but it bounced right back each time. Here, bounce, didn't quite make it, bounce, bounce, bounce. And then a nice pump up here, leveled off at around 3650, dropped down to 3400. And this seems to be the trading range right here for the last week or so, between 3650 and 3150. So any questions on the general Bitcoin and Ethereum trends? All right, cool. Let's talk about Altcoin Alert because I had an Altcoin Alert trade today. All right, I've been talking about Quant for several of these Zoom calls, and my inability to get in where I want. I finally got in where I want, sort of. So let's go to the Quant chart. Anyway, the score for Quant's been over 90 or high 80s, low 90s for a few days now. So Quant went through a really nice dip sequence. Unfortunately, it was in the wee hours of the morning, but I'd set a low buy order at 340. So for those of you who are familiar with the 1, 2, 3 dip, we got a big bubble here coming out of the squeeze, a big bubble. 1, 2, 3. Most people would have bought right here if they were live trading this at 5 in the morning, at around 350. But it did dip 2 more times. This one didn't quite break through, but a 4th dip. And it wicked down to 340 and 16 cents. Why is this important? Because my low buy order was at 340.00. Just missed it. Had I gotten that low buy order, yeah, I got up a little after 7. I probably would have missed this pump here, but I would have caught this one here.
Okay, so why had you set it at that? Because that's way below the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you set it at that?
Couple reasons. You set a low buy order and you're unconscious for when it actually fills, it's a bit risky. So I put a small amount of my balance in that 340 trade in case it plunged down to 320, 300, 250. Who knows what's going to happen? So I chose something that I thought was really low that had a not a great chance of being filled. Just in case something drastic happened, and it just missed. It was a little bit of bad luck. But since those of you who've been on the show a few times have heard me complain about Quanta, I can't seem to buy it where I want to buy it. So anyway, and if it did keep plunging, let's say the order filled at 340 and it kept plunging, then that's when you ladder buy in a couple times as it goes down. And that lowers your exit point each time you do that. But that's where money management is even actually more important than any kind of strategy or exit or entry. So that's really what I've been paying to a lot more in my trading, is how I manage my balance as opposed to trying to get the perfect entry. So because they're equally as important. Money management might be more important.
So your record is intact.
Well, the story's not over yet, but so I wanted to show this because, had I gotten into 340, my exit, I would have had a few options here. So
I guess as a TA guy, I'm trying to figure out why you would have set 314 though.
it's 340, 340.
340. Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, because before I went to bed last night, I looked at the charts. I looked at this activity around here. That had been earlier in the day yesterday, and I thought I'll drop it a little bit below that. We had this drop down to 352. So I considered 350 and I went, no, I'll go 340, see if it drops a lot. And if I can, have it wick down and catch my buy order, get a little bit lucky.
So
But it did
what
not. But if it did, I want to show you guys how, how the 1, 2, 3 dip, in this case, more like a 4th dip, would have been a really good trade. We have some resistance here, 2.5%. Some more resistance here, about 4%. I probably would have chosen this as an exit, gotten out there. Then we have some more resistance up here, around 6.24%. Again, the higher you go, the riskier it is. And then a little bit more resistance here, closer to 8%. So I got frustrated with this, set another low buy order, and then it shot up. But it came back down. So my low buy order, my not as low buy order of 345.30 or something like that. That's not that important, but my 345 order did get filled. actually right around here. I can't remember when it was, but I think it was here. And so I'm in this now with a small profit. But again, the resistance points are the same. It's just I won't make my profit's not as much. So at 345, I could have gotten out here. Well, it hasn't reached there yet. I got 1% profit now. This point would be about 2.6%. This resistance here is around 5.5%. This is the one I chose. I set my sell order slightly below that, around 363.8. So I'm looking for around 5% on this trade. That's pretty typical for most of my altcoin alert trades. If the market's pumping more, then I might go for 8 or 9 or even 10%. Right now, I'm kind of going in the middle for 5% on this quant trade. We'll see how that plays out. And then I've set an alert for about a 6% loss. I can't really show it on the screen, but it's down around 335 or so, 330, and that'll go off. And if that does, and I see a dip and then an upturn in the market, I'll ladder buy. I'll do another position. So. All right, any questions on my quant odyssey?
Yeah.
Okay, you'll do another position on quant, but if you go back to quant under altcoin alert, it's back to neutral, and I don't remember what all. So is it worth going in again?
I would, on a second buy, I'm going to be more interested in my own technical analysis. I might look at altcoin alert again. I generally rely on, this is one of the tools I use to determine what coins I'm going to trade. I don't use it as much to determine what I do once I'm in the trade, because I have quite a bit of training and experience on that with, with some other trainings. So, my purpose for altcoin alert is to, locate coins, because there's thousands of them, and then to use my technical analysis, for lack of a better word. The 1, 2, 3 dip's pretty easy. Not sure how technical it is, but to use that and other things I've learned to determine a good entry point.
And what is quant as far as, is it a reasonable project? I'm not even familiar with it.
Yeah, I hear good things about it. As a day trader, that doesn't concern me that much, because I'm really looking just for a few points of movement, a few percentages of movement. If you're a swing trader or a hodler, you should definitely be familiar with the projects you buy, because that's going to make a difference in the long-term value. But as a day trader, I'm more interested in momentum and price action and volume and things like that.
And I think you were right. This is like the third time this week it's hit altcoin alert. Or maybe even in a longer term period. So I guess my question to you, because you are such a day trader as opposed to a swing trader, was why would you buy in again? So if it was a solid project, that at least would make sense to me as a backup plan.
Well, the buy-in is to help the overall trade be successful. So if I buy it here and it drops down to here, and it's been down to 325 as recently as the 12th, then I'm fairly confident that it'll return back up. And in that scenario, if I get out at a break-even point for the first trade, my first trade breaks even, and then or maybe even a small loss, and my second trade does really well. So that's ideally the way ladder buying works. So
it's kind of mixed signals right now. If you go back to the altcoin alert page for a minute, it's still got a 90 score.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't know that it had been on here for a couple of days, and I looked at it right now, it's got a very bullish score. the elder impulse is bullish. Hourly is bearish, so maybe it's gonna like, putz around for a little bit before it goes up again. But I've sort of heard from Pizza Mind that if you get in and it's like a 90, like if I'm looking at this fresh, it's kind of an okay buy.
Yeah, there's a 90% chance of going up 3% or more in the next 72 hours. That's
Right.
that's how we look at the AA score in and of itself, excluding all this other stuff.
Right.
It's where people get confused a lot. Newbies, they'll look at this and then they'll say, well, there's this contradictory information over here. Well, yeah, but these have different time frames and different emphasis. So the AA score is trying to predict the future by looking at the past. And what it's saying is based on what's going on now in the past, there's a 90% chance for quant to go up 3% or more in 72 hours. So that's what we're looking for.
So maybe if as a day trader, you'd look at the hourly and think it's bearish. I don't want to do it because I just want to be in and out today. But if you're looking at 72 hours, it looks good.
Right. Right. And I'd rather be out today, but tomorrow's okay too. I'd rather not go overnight, but there's some things you can do if I made a trade at 4 in the morning on a ladder buy and I improved my position on a long. Hasn't played out yet, but we'll see.
I would not trust myself to make a decision at 4 in the morning. That's what to do.
Yeah, well, once the alert goes off, I've already looked at the conditions I need for that and made the trade, and so I did that work ahead of time. So when the alert goes off, I don't have to think about it.
Good for you.
Yeah. Otherwise, I agree. You can't just sit there and like do TA at 4 in the morning when you're half asleep. And then I also, on that particular one, which is a leverage trade, I made a very, very low buy order near the liquidation point. So in case something ridiculous happens and or if I sleep through the alarm, then that would get triggered and that would improve my position too. But anyway, that's a little more advanced. But since we talked about low buy orders, I thought it was sort of relevant. But anyway, all right. So
CJ, I've got a question. Because I'm in New Zealand and on totally different time frames, do you find better times to trade? Like for me, I'm seem to be struggling if I do it in the morning and the evening. So I was wondering whether I was actually working on the wrong time frames.
Yeah, it's actually one nice thing about being in the US is that if you have a full-time job, you can trade before and after work, because in Asia, where most of the trading is going on, those are busy times. So, but since you're close to Asia and New Zealand, if you're not trading during business hours, sometimes you'll find fewer opportunities. So I take a break in the middle of my day pretty consistently, from about 11 to 2. I think I talked about it in my day in the life of a day trader video. Just do some personal stuff, work out, take a shower, eat lunch, that kind of thing, and then I get back to it around 3 o'clock. I notice Pacific time it starts to pick up. So if you're in where you live, Craig, or even in the eastern part of the US, the hours are different and when it's really busy. But I think you can still do your TA and your trading successfully at any time and have good results. I don't think you should be limited by the trading hours. It just might take a little bit longer for things to develop.
Yeah, I'm struggling with that at the moment. Most of my trades are turning red at the moment.
Well, what I've made a fundamental change in my money management, and that instead of going in with a large amount of my balance and just trying to make a little bit of move and using stop losses, I'm going in with a much smaller portion of my balance, keeping a lot of it back for additional purchases on this ladder buying that I've talked about. And it's sort of getting back to what I was doing I first started on the money management side. So that way, if it does go against me at first, it doesn't bother me that much because I know I'm going to buy in again at a better spot, and I don't have a huge amount of money in the trade. So I'm not seeing this big giant red number on my screen, saying you effed up. That's how I used to read that. It's getting the emotion in control that's so difficult in this game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're talking about Quant. Well, I've got a, I got two, I'd later bought in and I got out of that just, but yeah, I'm sitting on a 16% loss at the moment.
Okay,
And
Hey,
I've had
is
that
that
for
just is that a single
couple of weeks.
position, or
what's that?
is that your only position, that 16% down? Did you buy another one?
I did buy another one and that went red for a long time too. So when that went green, I got out of it.
Okay, well, that's what it's for. So
But hasn't improved my situation at all, really. So I'm just sitting on it, hoping that eventually it'll turn around.
okay,
I
cool.
guess at some stage I might need to liquidate it and use the funds somewhere else, but it's not necessary at the moment.
Yeah, and it doesn't, this approach, ladder buying 2, 3, 4 purchases, doesn't work every time. It works most of the time. For me, probably 80 to 90% of the time I get out with a profit, but that other 10% can ruin things severely. So with the money
I
Craig?
managed,
Craig, if it's any,
I suspect I totally misread the chart and bought in at the top when I shouldn't have been buying in at all.
maybe, but again, this technique, you usually can fix those kind of things with patience and a couple strategic buys, and yeah, just hanging in there. Laura, you were saying something?
yeah, the last 24 hours, everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah, if you
Or-
made a spot purchase or a long purchase in the last day or so, the Bitcoin dropping, not a lot, but enough to mess things up, then this.
It's September. What do we expect?
Yeah, Bitcoin's always kind of grumpy in September, and so it's just trending down.
And said 82% of the time it loses money in September or loses
about right.
ground. And it's like, okay, we just need to be smarter on our day trades.
Yeah, yeah. And even like on the 5-minute here today, 11 o'clock, a drop from here, a 2% drop in an hour and a half. It's going to be a 10% drop for the altcoins. All my longs got hit. They were all down in this period, and a couple of them came back enough to get me out when this pumped up, but those that didn't, now they're hurting again, but it's coming back. So hang in there, it'll come back usually. Unless
2 weeks, it'll be a hot market, right?
Yeah. October. Looking forward to October.
That's right. Fourth
All right.
quarter. Here we go, altcoins.
Okay, so I'm gonna be a little more concise today because I have a 4 o'clock Zoom on another matter, and I know we have a couple new people here today. So instead of going through a bunch of different sorts and things like that, I'm going to open this up to questions on Altcoin Alert a little bit earlier than usual. I've got something in the chat. Brooklyn's asking, what about the coins that ran during the dip today?
Yeah, we always talk about, everything's going down, whatever, and we hardly ever touch on what about looking at the coins that went in the other direction? It's like Quant is actually known for one of these coins, and we bought it up today. And myself am really pissed because, a couple of weeks back, I put in a really low buy at like 155. It hit 154. I thought I was badass selling at like 230 or something, and look at it now.
Well, that's 154, 230 is a great trade. Why would you be upset about that? Sorry, you're talking to the wrong guy.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm not upset. I shouldn't be upset. I just look at the coin now and I'm like, damn, why didn't I, just, move it up as I went, but I didn't. And I moved on.
Yeah.
And so I'm not angry. I'm just, showing everybody that if you were a holder and you could have held on, you could have looked at it later and been like, wow, now look at this.
Well, that's why I'm picking on you a little bit, just as an example. If you have your plan, if you buy at 155 and your goal is to get out at 230 with whatever percent profit that is, and you achieve that, that's a good trade. Feel good about it. Don't think twice about it.
It was.
But if you're more of a hodler or swing trader and you want to go beyond that, you were too impatient. I gotta get out. Then that's not so good. So that's why you'll always see me pop up on the Slack group with "Don't apologize for taking profit." If that was your plan, then feel good about that. I made 1% on 2 shorts today, and I was happy. And I wrote in my spreadsheet, "Good trade," because I did exactly what I wanted to do. Even though both of them dipped a little bit more, could have got maybe 2 or 3% on 10x leverage. My phone's blowing up. Even though that happened, I traded my plan and then felt good about it. So sorry, I didn't mean to pick on you, but I know we have new people here. If you have a plan, if you want to get out with 2% or 5% or 10%, you achieve that plan, that's good. Don't worry about it if it keeps going up. There's no way you can know that.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's see, participants. There's someone I was emailing with, Sheba. Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Sheba. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is your first time, right?
It is, and
All right,
I am
cool.
very much, if anything, a hodler, but interested in trading, but too new and too inexperienced to really do that. So right now,
Eh?
AA is more of a source for long-term trades for hodling, and for maybe starting to get my feet wet with swing trading. So I guess my first question, or my initial question, is how do I really use AA for that, to really start getting my feet wet with swing trades that are
All right.
profitable?
So how are you defining a swing trade? Let's start with that.
I'm not able to do really, I'm not going to liquidate quickly. I want to be able to take advantage though of some of these gains that I'm seeing. So for example, the call on ELF, I didn't make that trade, but I wanted to. So yeah, so I guess I just want to be a bit conservative because I'm really not experienced enough. I'm still just at the skill building education phase of understanding trading, but I still want to take advantage of some of these profits, especially as we move into the fourth quarter.
Okay, so you are more of a swing trader, but I did ask you to define it. You didn't quite do that. That's okay. It's not well defined anyway. For me, I think of a swing trade as multiple days, usually 2 or more.
That's what I would say for
Okay.
me. And actually, I've lost a bit because I've looked at some of these AA calls. I've gotten in, gotten frustrated, gotten out, and then it goes up and I'm like, crap. So I guess I'm trying to understand what is the scope of those calls. Like, how long should I stay in? When should I just get out? So I'm very much a newbie. So
Okay.
be gentle. Be gentle with me.
Yeah, what you just said brought up a lot of things. Some of them are beyond the scope of the show, because I'm really focused on day trading and trying to help you guys use Altcoin Alert to day trade. So regarding swing trading, holding for longer periods of time, there are 20 or 30 people, if not more, in the Slack group who are more qualified than I to discuss that. Terry, Alan, I know Brooklyn does some, buying and holding, where my training is as a day trader. And then I tried to branch out and do longer term stuff and really didn't like it. So I'm reluctant to give advice about swing trading because I just haven't done a lot of it, where I've done thousands of day trades, but I've done maybe 100 swing trades and I'm about 50-50 on those. So
EJ, can I answer, please?
okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Help me
Sheba,
out.
this is Laura. The best
Hi.
piece of advice that CJ ever gave me, or gave everybody, it wasn't me, I just took it personally, was to set your trade and have your exit strategy in place when you buy in. Now, I'm like you, I am conservative as all get out, let me tell you. But I'm learning this, so I'm paper trading it, which was also CJ's suggestion. So paper trade until you're comfortable. In the meantime, go wherever you need to go to get your training. But the reality is the TA analysis is phenomenal. And you can use that whether you're a hodler, whether you're a swing trader, whether you're a day trader. Okay, done.
All right.
CJ,
Thanks.
that's my thank you to you.
I appreciate that. Wow, somebody was listening.
I do, every week I listen, kiddo.
Tell you what, here's what I'll show you and then we'll move on. This is the quant chart on the 1 hour. And I talked, moments ago about my entrance here at $345. Now my goal is just to get a 5 or 6% profit and get out. Now let's say I'm a swing trader and I want to get, double-digit return. Well, it's been as high as 417 last, a few days ago, and then it was up to 427, less than a week ago. So these are retracement possibilities. It doesn't take a lot of technical analysis or even knowledge to look at a 1 hour chart and going, I wonder if it'll go back there. I wonder if it'll go back there. Maybe it'll go back here. There's a lot more touches here, and there's a lot more touches here. So at 345-ish, if I go to here, I'm at 6.8%. That's a good trade. See all these touches here, Shiba? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8.85%. That's pretty good. If I go up again, I've got more touches here. And that's 11, almost 12%. That's a good trade. And then up here, if I'm willing to wait longer, swing trade a week or two, 20%. And that's like, now we're excited. And then up here, we're at like almost 24%. And that's just a simple retrace. I mean, so that's, you can draw lines. Not even have to draw them, just look at a chart and say, okay, the low is here around 323. Then the high is here around 420. And this coin's been hot lately. So maybe this dip will eventually curl around and go back up to the top. That's a retrace. And that's something you can take into consideration when you decide where you want to get out. All right, well, I think we are quanted to death. So let's move on. And maybe look at one more altcoin alert. Oh yeah, I was looking at the dashboard here. I've got the easy mode on, and that'll just give what the software thinks are the best coins to look at the moment. I click this off, I can get more information. Top 5 AAs, and then sorted by sentiment, which is more of I think of like a popularity Twitter thing on sentiment. And then top 5 elder, which is more of a technical analysis momentum. So if you get one that's in all 3 of these, that's something you may want to seriously consider. It doesn't happen very often. So you just might want to look at the top 2 or 3 on each one and see if there's a good opportunity now or in the near future. But this is how we're used to seeing it. Altcoin alert. I click on the easy mode's off, and I'm on the altcoin radar, and then I see everything. I want everything. So plus I can sort. I can click here and sort either direction. ELF has been pumping, but it's got a low, very bearish AA score. The AA thinks it's done pumping. So if you were in it based on something else and you see a very bearish AA score, you may want to look at the charts and consider getting out. But then you've got some pretty contradictory stuff here too. So fire. So this doesn't mean get out now, but it means get out soon. All right. And our loyal member John likes to sort by, is it social activity?
Yeah. Yep.
And,
Yep.
and what we find with this is that we'll frequently get long-term sentiment very bullish and elder impulse bullish, like we have here on ELF, which seems to contradict what I just said. That's
I
okay.
started doing that when things were like so bullish that there were like 110, 120 that were coming up bullish.
Yeah, we
And then
certainly
you
don't
can
have
look
that
at
now.
it. Yeah, you can see it. The ELF is really the only one on your screen right now doing it.
Yeah,
But when the things are really, really popping, I found the social activity thing was good. Lately, I've just been hitting the elder impulse daily and then looking for the long-term sentiment, you know. Or long-term sentiment, looking for, you know, just look one or the other and look for the national one.
yeah, this is another sort we like, is by elder impulse daily, which is if you hover over here on the question mark, it'll tell you what it is. Deals with trends and momentum and long-term sentiment, also bullish on DOT. I'm usually looking for neutral or better on the AA score. I've got that here. Trading activity, neutral or better. It's normal or better. It's down a little bit, but so like 5% or better on the 1 hour, but it's not a deal breaker. The 1 hour elder impulse, I'm not that concerned about because I've got a good score on the daily. So
Yeah,
this
it's
is
manageable looking right now, but if things really start hopping in October, I'll probably go back to doing that social activity thing to just sort
Yeah.
of screen it quickly so I can get to where I want to be.
got it.
I hate scrolling down through 4 or 5, 6 screens.
Yeah, that's annoying. Check the chat.
Look at DOT real quick.
Sure. Okay, someone's asking me about how much money am I trading with on my day trades. I used to go as high as 50% of my balance, and that's when I was using stop losses though. Now that I'm trying to incorporate more ladder buying into, and I do mostly leverage trading now. I've raised the leverage and lowered the amount that I'm trading, so it's roughly 5% of my balance. So with that, I can have 2 coins going, and I can make, you know, 4 to 5 ladder buys after my initial purchase. Well, 4 after my initial purchase, and that's going to get me out of 99% of the situations. If I take profits regularly out of my account, you know, the one time I get creamed won't hurt me that bad. So that's a kind of a short explanation of how I do that. DOT, that's what we're going to look at. All right.
Got one dip.
Yeah, big drop. Some pretty good support here around 33, but it's been visiting that again on the hour. Yeah, dropping hard from 36 down to 33, a 5-minute. Yeah, we had a dip. Now it's gone through the SMA line, so we start over. Plus we don't have a bubble. We're looking for dip trades. Let's see if we have an
Dang.
example here. Yeah, here's what we want. See how it's kind of, I've got this. This is what you'll usually see. You'll see how it's squeezing together and then it bubbles out. That's what we want on a 1, 2, 3 dip. You know, you got a big hard dip. One, this is probably, no, it's not from the 7th. All right, 1, 2. We don't really get a third dip, but on this MACD cross here, it does go back and uncross and across this again. Yeah, you could get in somewhere around here and have a pretty decent trade. So you got it on the cross here. Unfortunately, it drops, but it does pump up to the SMA line again. Got 1%. If you want to get back to say this resistance here, you know, you're going to be in this a while longer. It does hit that about 9.5 hours later with 2.3%. So not that exciting, but if you pile up those, you do a couple of those, 2, 3, 4 a day of 1 to 2%, your balance will grow pretty quickly. All right.
No, never mind.
Did you want to look at something else? Nope. All right, nothing in the chat.
CJ, I've got a question on time frames.
Okay,
When I was listening to the Carbon AI thing the other night, he was talking about trades on different time frames when you're looking at the chart. So when he was looking at the chart on the 4 hour, there are certain trades, and then on the half hour, there are different trades. Can you explain anything about that?
yeah, Craig's talking about the Carbon AI bot, which is a sort of outside the scope of this.
It wasn't so
show.
much about the bot, it was
I
about
understand. I just
looking at the
wanted,
chart at different time frames.
right, and that's why I was going to make that distinction. So the question's valid, and you know, for our purposes today. But if you're wondering what the carbon thing is, you can email me about it later. All right, so you're asking about looking at different time frames. Yeah, if you're going to
And
trade,
trades related to different time frames.
yeah, it's similar to what I showed you a little earlier when I showed you my quant trade on the 5-minute chart, then I showed you a swing trade on the 1 hour chart. You can go to the 4 hour chart and you know, and look at some of these indicators. Like right now on DOT, we've got a 4 hour, you know, money factor indicated, which is bouncing off the bottom, the 20 value, and starting to come back up. Well, that's an indicator you might want to think about. If you see something like that, and you see I mean, look at this here. If it goes on the RSI, if it goes below 30 on the 4 hour, it does make a little hiccup, drop again, and then goes up. If you catch this on the 4 hour, you know, you can get 25% recovery in 2 days. You know, that's a great trade. But you know, it might go down like this, you know, 11%. But you know, I know people who trade like this, who look at the longer charts, who even use leverage and stay in trades for several days. So that's another, you know, another approach that you can do. It's really the kind of thing I was wanting to learn when I joined CryptNation, and I found that, you know, it just didn't really fit in my personality and how I wanted to trade. I think I'll get back to it, but you know, personally, I prefer day trading and I like that rush. I want to get that profit and you know, today and get out. So you know, that's just me. But most people trade the way you're describing. It's in the hour, the 4 hour, the day charts. Now, I was on not a Zoom, but I was looking at a YouTube thing where they're looking at like monthly charts and weekly charts. So buy here at this week and on July 19th, and right up here, you know, 260% in 56 days. That's a great trade. You have the patience to stay through all that. So it's different approaches, different strategies. Does that answer your question, Craig?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. I'll take one more question, then I got to run. I got one in the chat. Big money is in the big moves. See, Terry likes to trade like that. And he's right. Big money is in the big moves and being patient. So you can try to pile up a bunch of little trades like I talk about, which I think is a little safer, or you can hang in there for big moves. You know, if you're doing that, that's great. You might want to watch a different show. That's okay. But all right, well, that's all I have. I'm gonna let you guys go. I've got another thing to do. So happy trading and have a great weekend.
Same to you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.